walk us through when you woke up the next day and the next few weeks, you know, what it felt like and how it affected your life being a made member in the Italian Mafia in New York City.
I think that waking up the next day, it was just like another day. And you would think that looking back, I always thought that it would be a lot more, meant a lot more than what it was to me at that point. And not that it was insignificant, it was very significant, but it when I started to really, when it sank in of, you know, the position I now held was by people. And it was the respect that people now gave you. And, you know, you start to notice these things. Like, for instance, if you in a restaurant and at a table and you got up to use the restroom, you know, somebody at that table, when you're not in earshot, is going to say, oh, by the way, this is so-and-so, you know, he's this, that, and the other. And when you come back to that table, you just notice that people are treating you a lot, they're being a lot more nicer to you. And, you know, so it was things like that. Or, you know, when we were out drinking, you know, more drinks were coming my way and people were buying you things. I don't want to use the word ass kissing. You know, I don't want to insult anybody, but, you know, people just try to, you know, get closer to you and be more friendly to you and show you that much more respect. So in that sense, that's how I seen and felt that things were different.
Now, the core of it, though, especially like in 2013, where we're at in this discussion, is like the mob got smart post John Gotti and got like real secretive, right? And we'll talk later on about how the FBI didn't even know who you were, which is amazing. So it's supposed to be a secret society. So it is like, for example, is it the other people that are made members, hey, no, you're new because you got passed around? Or is it like kind of like it gets around and then you go to your grocer, hey, here's free, like the movie, like here's free groceries, here's a free dinner.
No,
like outsiders versus insiders.
No, well, just let me just say, there was one other thing. I'll answer that. I just want to say one thing. I was taught, and then also learned, but was mainly taught that, and it goes this, I think this applies to anything in life. The more successful, and that goes to obviously legit life, but in that life, the more that you have power, which would be versus an associate versus a guy, you know, a friend.
Yeah.
And as we said, we know what a friend means. We discussed it in the last interview. I felt that that's the more you should humble yourself. And that's the right way to carry yourself in that life, is that you really should humble yourself more, because you also have the advantage over people. And so that's, I just wanted to say that. What you just, the question you just asked was, there was a time, and I'll just talk about inside. I was a friend already, all right? So I was already inducted, and I had a couple of meetings, and it wasn't no official meeting. It was in Staten Island, and I had sat down and, you know, not a sit down, I had sat down and had conversations with Dom Trisulo. And if anybody don't know who Dom is or was, he passed away, was a Caporegime in our Bagat, our family, right? And Dom did not know who I was. He talked to me. He knew, he probably in his mind thought I was around John or somebody from that crew, but never knew that I was a friend. And I had talked to him for a couple of hours one day, and then maybe, you know, an hour or two the next day, or whatever it was. We spoke a couple of times. Well, when I think it was John, I don't remember who it was who formally introduced me. And I could see the look on his face. And it was one of surprise, but it was one of respect, because he knew that I never, ever let on to him who I was. And that's very, very important. And because, like I've said previously, there are guys who want to run around and get introduced to everybody and let everyone know, hey, this is who I am. And it is not the way to do things. So that's part of being humble. As far as the people outside of that life, people talk, and it's unfortunate, and it does more damage to you in that life
Yeah.
if people know who you are.
Yeah.
As you say, secret society, it's best that they don't, because years ago, you did not meet another member, especially from another family, unless there was a problem, or you had to, or it was 100% necessary that you had to meet them, or you had to sit down with them. You didn't, they kept that very secretive. And as you know, the West Side, which you told your viewers that the West Side is the Genovese family, they practice this present day. They try to keep that, going to this day, to try to keep this the way it's supposed to be. Unfortunately, women know who. If a guy got straightened out last Friday, on Tuesday, the women are talking to their girlfriends, and oh yeah, that's insanity, totally insanity. And you want to know why?
Yeah.
It doesn't come from the women.
Yeah.
It comes from a guy, right? So that comes from another friend going and opening his mouth to a woman. I had someone I was dating, and I'll tell